Randy Orton, born on April 1, 1980, in Knoxville, Tennessee, is a third-generation professional wrestler, hailing from a family with a rich wrestling legacy. His father, Bob Orton Jr., and his grandfather, Bob Orton Sr., were both renowned wrestlers in the industry. Growing up in a wrestling environment, Randy was exposed to the sport at a young age. He attended Hazelwood Central High School in St. Louis, Missouri, where he excelled as an athlete. Randy participated in various sports, including football, showcasing his athleticism early on. Randy Orton later revealed that during his time in the Marines, he was regularly bullied and mistreated. The training was brutal, and he admitted he wasn't brave enough to die for his country, as he just wanted out. In an attempt to leave, he faked an injury, pretending he couldn't walk, but it didn't work and only made things worse with his peers and superiors. On Valentine's Day 1999, Orton went AWOL, taking a 2-day bus ride home without permission. His absence led to severe consequences, including a court-martial sentence of 110 days in military prison. In prison, 19-year-old Orton reflected on his life, thinking about his family, especially his father, Bob Orton, and grandfather, both of whom were wrestlers. After being released from the military after only 44 days, Orton decided to pursue wrestling. He spoke to his father, asking if he could become a WWE superstar. Bob Orton warned him about the sacrifices in wrestling, particularly the impact on family life, as he had experienced firsthand. Bob later expressed regret for neglecting his relationship with Randy during his own wrestling career. Despite his father's warnings, Randy Orton was determined to become a wrestler. After being released from military prison, he worked as a referee for an independent wrestling promotion while also working night shifts at a gas station. His chance came when WWE visited his area, and through his father's connections, Randy got a developmental contract with WWE, entering the family business. In WWE, he met future stars like John Cena, Brock Lesnar, and Batista. Although Randy was initially seen as cocky and inexperienced, his raw talent was undeniable. WWE officials recognized his potential early on, often excusing his unprofessional conduct due to his natural ability. However, his rapid rise in WWE, especially as a member of Evolution, led to jealousy backstage. Triple H and Vince McMahon pushed him to the top, but this made him unpopular in the locker room. Some wrestlers even attempted to injure him to take his spot, with Bob Holly being one of the veterans who tested Randy's dedication by deliberately hurting him in the ring. Despite these challenges, Orton's talent in the ring was undeniable. He quickly mastered new moves and sequences, making them appear effortless. His smoothness in the ring earned him comparisons to legends like Shawn Michaels. Over time, Randy Orton became one of WWE's biggest stars, proving that his third-generation wrestling lineage was more than just a legacy, it was his destiny. After Randy Orton's initial success with Evolution, he solidified his status as a top-tier talent in WWE. At SummerSlam 2004, just 2 years after his debut, Orton won the World Heavyweight Championship, becoming the youngest WWE World Champion in history at the age of 24. This milestone earned him respect from fans and wrestlers alike, but his backstage reputation was mixed. While figures like Triple H, Ric Flair, and Batista appreciated his natural talent and charisma, some of his colleagues found his arrogance frustrating, especially due to his penchant for pursuing women. Orton's personal life added fuel to his controversial reputation. He was notorious for sleeping with female fans after shows and dating several WWE personalities, including Dawn Marie, Mickie James, Stacy Keibler, and Candice Michelle. He reportedly harassed a WWE diva named Lita after she didn't recognize him, with rumors suggesting that Orton defecated in her handbag, destroyed her valuables, and relentlessly bullied her until she quit the company. Orton's behavior escalated with multiple incidents, including knocking Amy Weber to the ground on a flight and frightening Maria Kanellis with fireworks in a car. His childish and often reckless behavior began to wear thin backstage, leading to frequent confrontations with veterans like Triple H. In one instance, Triple H scolded Orton for his immaturity and warned him that he could no longer use youth as an excuse. The consequences of Orton's behavior included having to give up his title due to his inappropriate conduct. In 2006, WWE enrolled Orton in an anger management program in Atlanta, which he initially saw as a waste of time. However, over time, Orton acknowledged that he needed to change and grow. Despite his rough start, he eventually learned to earn respect from his peers, realizing that his arrogance had been a significant obstacle in his career. Randy Orton's journey of transformation wasn't without its setbacks. Despite promising to change his ways, his behavior still spiraled at times. In one instance, while on a WWE European tour, he had an outburst over something as trivial as the quality of a steak. He threw the steak at a waitress, demanding a new one, which was just one of many examples of his reckless behavior. During the same tour, Orton trashed his hotel room, causing $50,000 in damages, leading WWE officials to send him home. While the exact reason for his meltdown remained unclear, it was clear that his actions were still out of control. However, WWE still saw great potential in Orton. He was considered one of the top stars in the company and was set to star in The Marine 2. But when members of the Marine Corps, who remembered Orton from his brief time in the military, voiced their outrage at his casting, WWE reconsidered. Some Marines criticized WWE for associating Orton with the role, given his past, which included leaving the Corps. As a result, WWE pulled Orton from the movie and cast Ted DiBiase Jr. instead. Despite this setback, Orton's career continued to thrive, as he remained a main event performer and solidified his place as one of the top wrestlers. Orton's relationship with WWE officials, particularly Vince McMahon, was integral to his success. Vince had a special bond with Randy, often welcoming him into his office no matter who else was present. Vince recognized Randy's struggles, having seen his breakdowns and emotional outbursts firsthand. The two shared a mutual understanding, as Vince saw a bit of his own chaotic personality in Randy. As Orton's fame grew, so did the demand for his time. The frequency of interviews increased to the point where Orton was often required to give 10 interviews a day. These media obligations were draining for him, and he admitted to feeling nervous and insecure about answering questions. Despite his growing fame, Orton remained deeply affected by the pressure of being in the public eye, highlighting the personal toll that comes with being a WWE superstar. Randy Orton's career, while marked by his undeniable talent, was also marred by incidents of immaturity and backstage conflicts that fueled his controversial reputation. His confrontational behavior was displayed in various public and private settings. For instance, during an interview with a Mexican news channel, a reporter mocked Orton by calling him fragile due to his injury history. Orton, known for his fiery temper, responded by threatening the reporter, saying that if the reporter dared to call him fragile again, he would headbutt his teeth through his skull. This altercation highlighted Orton's volatile nature outside the ring. Orton's issues weren't just limited to the media. He had several backstage altercations with fellow wrestlers, including a particularly notable one with Mr. Kennedy. After Kennedy failed to execute a suplex safely, Orton yelled at him, accusing him of being unsafe in the ring. This heated argument resulted in Mr. Kennedy losing his job with WWE just a few days later, with many blaming Orton for influencing his firing. Orton's reputation for being arrogant and quick-tempered made him a controversial figure in the locker room, and his clashes with other WWE stars, including John Cena, added fuel to this image. Moreover, Randy Orton's dark side came to light with the rise of the #MeToo movement, when accusations of sexual harassment surfaced. WWE writer Court Bauer alleged that Orton had exposed himself to new writers and engaged in inappropriate behavior. Bauer claimed that Orton once grabbed his genitals and demanded the writers shake his hand, using his status as a WWE superstar to intimidate them. Orton's repeated behavior of this nature went largely unchallenged, which raised concerns within the WWE. These incidents, while not necessarily reflecting the entirety of Randy Orton's character, contributed significantly to his reputation as one of the more divisive figures in WWE history. Despite these controversies, his talent in the ring and his strong relationship with key figures like Vince McMahon allowed him to continue his successful career. However, these personal struggles and backstage clashes were a constant reminder of the challenges he faced both professionally and personally. Randy Orton's career has been full of controversies that went beyond his well-known backstage conflicts and public outbursts. His behavior often pushed the limits of what was acceptable in the WWE locker room and beyond, and this led to several incidents that sparked public outrage. One such incident involved Orton's reckless behavior with new wrestlers, especially in the case of Cody Rhodes. When Rhodes had a stitched-up cut on his face, Orton suggested he stick his head out the window while driving at high speed to help the cut heal faster. Despite the dangerous nature of the suggestion, Rhodes complied, only to end up with blood running down his face. But the incidents didn't stop there. Orton took Rhodes to a strip club, where he lied to security, claiming to know the club's owner to get VIP parking. Once inside, Orton acted inappropriately, even attempting to perform wrestling moves on the dancers. His behavior continued to shock his colleagues, including when he caused damage to a hotel room, tearing a urinal off the wall and flooding the lobby. In addition to these wild actions, Orton was involved in multiple scandals during fan interactions. One of the most disturbing moments occurred during an autograph session when Orton made inappropriate comments to a young boy, pointing out his package and making crude remarks. There was also the incident in 2007 when Orton almost faced arrest after he allegedly stole a fan's SD card during a photo op, only to return it after the police were involved. Despite the awkward situation, Orton ended up paying the fan over $100 as a form of settlement. Orton's crude remarks didn't stop there. In a radio interview, he crossed another line by publicly shaming fellow wrestler Kelly Kelly, claiming he could name 10 wrestlers she had been with. This caused a lot of backlash from his peers, and Orton was forced to publicly apologize to Kelly Kelly in a tweet after facing criticism from fans and colleagues alike. Despite these controversies, Orton continued to be a top star in WWE, but his antics outside the ring often overshadowed his success. His reckless behavior and repeated instances of unprofessionalism ultimately led to a tarnished reputation, even though he remained a prominent figure in the wrestling world. While Orton's talent was undeniable, his personal issues and antics continued to stir up trouble, making him one of the most polarizing figures in WWE history. Randy Orton's personal life was marked by a series of tumultuous events that greatly impacted both his career and his personal relationships. His reckless behavior continued to haunt him, especially with his interactions on social media. In one incident, Orton insulted an overweight fan on Twitter, calling him Miss Piggy, which sparked a wave of backlash. Despite apologizing, his behavior was widely criticized, and many felt he was simply using the excuse of being young and stupid as a way to justify his actions. Orton himself later admitted that his actions were immature and that he couldn't have been easy to be around during that time. He acknowledged that drugs had played a role in his troubles, further fueling his reckless behavior. But as often happens, despite pushing boundaries and making poor decisions, Orton's career continued to thrive, which only inflated his ego further. However, his reckless lifestyle eventually caught up with him in a life-threatening way. Orton was found unconscious by his girlfriend, Samantha, who called an ambulance. Reports suggested that Orton may have overdosed, with some speculating that he had even attempted to take his own life, though these claims were never confirmed. What is certain, however, is that Samantha saved his life that night, and Orton woke up in the hospital, grateful for her actions. In a gesture of gratitude, he proposed to her with a $999,000 ring. Orton's life took a turn for the better after this incident. He went to rehab, began reflecting on his life, and had a Bible verse tattooed on him as part of his new path towards self-improvement. His love for Samantha and their daughter seemed to have grounded him, and he expressed that this newfound sense of family helped him become a more calm and reflective person. However, despite his apparent changes, his personal life soon took another hit. In 2013, Samantha filed for divorce, citing the irreparable damage to their marriage. The reason for the breakdown was made clear when it was revealed that Orton had been seen on a date with WWE ring announcer JoJo Offerman, acting intimately with her. This was yet another example of Orton's inability to maintain stable relationships, and it marked the end of his marriage to Samantha. Throughout his career and personal life, Orton's story has been one of immense highs and deep lows, with moments of growth, but also repeated setbacks. His journey has been a complex one, filled with reckless behavior, personal battles, and ultimately, attempts at redemption. Randy Orton's journey through both his career and personal life has been filled with controversial moments, emotional ups and downs, and difficult decisions. After his marriage to Samantha ended, largely due to his infidelity and issues within the wrestling lifestyle, Orton's relationships continued to make headlines. His affair with JoJo Offerman, which occurred shortly after his divorce, was short-lived. The 13-year age difference raised eyebrows, and backstage gossip continued to surround his personal life. It was clear that Orton's behavior, especially his repeated infidelities, had consequences, including damaging his marriage and personal relationships. Despite his turmoil, Randy's professional life remained strong. After his divorce, Samantha kept a sizable amount of assets, including a $650,000 bank account, a $99,000 engagement ring, and sole custody of their daughter. Randy, for his part, continued to pay alimony and visit his daughter regularly. In his personal life, Randy met his current wife, Kim, in 2012, while still married to Samantha. Kim, who had been a fan of Orton's, connected with him after he gave her the number of a security guard to arrange a date. They went on to have a daughter together, Brooklyn Rose, and seem to have formed a strong bond, with many calling them soulmates. Despite the outward appearances of redemption, Orton's past issues didn't disappear overnight. Even though he describes himself as a changed man, admitting his mistakes and reflecting on his past, his temper and reckless behavior occasionally resurface. His interactions with fellow wrestlers have continued to cause friction. Cody Rhodes, for one, doesn't believe Orton has completely transformed. Orton has had clashes with wrestlers like Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns, and has reportedly been a roadblock